Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jim Heyman. I am the Director of Business Development for CGNA, and I want to say right up front, want to say thank you for being on this call. We know you have a lot of other things going on, and we appreciate some of your afternoon. This is actually a very cool presentation we've got here. We have a brand new preferred vendor of CGNA, Seitron, and we got a couple of presenters with us today that are very knowledgeable, good guys, and they're pleased to be in CGNA. So, hey, I want to thank you for being on the call. This is great. Glad to have a little bit of your afternoon. Just a couple of things I want to mention. I think most of you have probably been on a CGNA webinar, and you know the drill a little bit. But in case we have new people, I'll just mention you are muted for the call. So we just find we get a much better recording, and there's no crosstalk or hold music that's disruptive, and it allows our presenters to really focus and have a very clear presentation. However, we do want to hear from you. They're going to have a time of Q&A at the end, and are very interested and eager to get your questions. So please type those in, and they will answer them and stay as long as they need to get all of those handled, okay? Also, as I mentioned, we are recording this, so a recorded version will be available. So if you'd like that, let us know, and we'll get it out to you. If there's someone else in your company that maybe wanted to be on the call, but right at the last minute they got pulled away to the counter or something, let us know. We'll get you the recorded version. And something very interesting, first time we've had a presenter do this, you'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, there are 4 handouts. These are PDFs, 3 of them. One is a PowerPoint. It's actually today's PowerPoint. So you can download today's PowerPoint as we speak and have that before the call even ends. So there's 3 others, and there's some great material here for all of you. So really excellent, very informational. So please take a note of those. One other thing I want to mention is right at the beginning, Jason will be taking a poll with a couple of questions just to give him a better feel for your awareness of the products and different things. So he'll do it very quick that you could just answer those. So we'd be appreciative if you would participate in that. So that concludes my portion. Again, thank you for being on the call. I would like to introduce, we have 2 presenters this afternoon. Jason Esteves is the Director of Sales for the Americas. If you can see what I'm seeing, he is on the left, and Dan Kelly, the Product Manager, is on the right. These are the representatives of Seitron, our newest preferred vendor. Very glad to have them. So, gentlemen, welcome. It's all yours.
Well, thank you very much, Jim, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. Both Dan and I are very excited to be part of CGNA. You know, when I get to a little bit of the history of us, I'll explain a little bit more, but I've been wanting to be a CGNA member for about the last 12 to 13 years, pushing very hard, and very happy to finally be a CGNA member, both personally and professionally. So I'm very happy to be here. As is Dan, of course, and with Seitron Americas. So we thought, you know, I am going to turn my camera off in a second and go through the presentation, but I'm a little bit old school when it comes to presenting. So I wanted to make sure that everybody could put a face to the names and at least see us. So you get a chance to see what we look like and get a chance to, you know, put a face to the names, like I said, and then we'll move on to the presentation. But thank you so much. And as Jim mentioned, just to kind of be a little bit helpful, we have a very short, small poll of about 2 questions that is going to be put up right now, just to kind of give us a feel for who's on the call and just help us out a little bit. Very, very short. And then as soon as that's done, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So I'll give you guys just a few seconds. Thank you very much for those of you who are answering. I appreciate that very much. So I'm going to get started here. So thank you all. I'm going to shut off my camera just so I can pay attention to the actual presentation here. So hopefully everybody can see this. And obviously, Seitron Americas, we're extremely excited to be part of the CGNA group. I have always been an enormous component of CGNA. I think the controls group is the most smartest and best distributors that we have in the country, which is why I made it almost a lifetime focus of trying to get into the group at my previous company, which we'll talk about, but now very excited to be here with Seitron. So thank you all for joining today, and hopefully we'll get a chance at one point to actually see each other in the future face to face. Like Jim had mentioned before, my name is Jason. I'm the Director of Sales for both North and South America. Dan Kelly is our product manager here, also for North and South America. I wanted to put this up because we don't hide from anybody, so you could see our cell phone numbers, emails, our direct office line, website, and our physical address. For those who don't know where Trevose, Pennsylvania is, no worries. It's about 30 minutes northeast of Philadelphia, almost right at the New Jersey border. We are both NATE accredited certified trainers. One of the things we do focus on quite a bit is training, which we'll get into. That's a huge component. Again, one of the reasons why I really always enjoyed working with the CGNA members. I have been over the years and continue to push through controls because this group does a lot with training, which I think is so important. Both of us do. So I wanted to kind of show you our information, but don't worry, you're going to get a copy of this presentation. You could contact us at any time, and especially on our cell phones, because Dan and I don't sleep, so it's no worries at all. We don't, especially during the heating season when it's combustion analyzer time, there is no weekends or nights for us. So don't worry about reaching out on our cells or emails. Just to kind of give you a little bit of social media stuff, if you're ever interested in following Seitron Americas online, we always are presenting stuff, classes that we go to, shows that we go to. Sometimes it's product-based, many times it's training-based, or places that we go and associations, but both on LinkedIn and also on Facebook. As you can see, we're very excited. I mean, there's some CGNA stuff that we're constantly posting, especially since I think the day after we were announced as members, we were all over the place with marketing and social media. And if anybody goes to our website, SeitronAmericas.com, everyone will see the CGNA logo up front and prominent right on the homepage. That's how important it was to both Dan and I and to the organization here. So just so everybody's aware, just to give you kind of a little bit of a picture, a history of where we are. So our headquarters is in Italy. It's about, I want to say, an hour northwest of Venice. Beautiful big facility, and I'll give you a little bit of history on the company in a moment, but you can see some of the laboratory. And our office, Seitron Americas, down below, fully functional calibration laboratory. We have fully stocked on parts, sensors, and all that kind of stuff. But I'll get to the service part of it, which is such an enormous part of combustion analyzers. As those who mentioned in the poll that are familiar, you know the game. Most of the time, it's not just the analyzer; it's the service behind it. So we will touch base on that. Just a kind of a map view. I told you we're very close to Philadelphia in New Jersey. Our office location, then, as I mentioned, just where Seitron headquarters is in Italy. So Seitron, for those of you who do not know, and there are probably a bunch of people on the call who might know me and even Dan for many years, as I spent my last 18 years at E Instruments, who was purchased by Sauerman a couple years ago. And I'll explain that a little bit in the future here. But I've always been in the combustion analyzer world, and I've been working with Seitron for many years. But for those who are not familiar with Seitron, it's not a new company by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually founded in 1981 with the main focus on thermostats and thermal regulation. In fact, that's probably their biggest market, whereas the combustion analyzers and things like that are probably a secondary market for the entire group. But for here in the Americas, it's probably our main market. So you have about 40 years of experience there in instrumentation design and manufacturing, and really the key comes to application expertise. It's not just being able to sell an inexpensive analyzer to residential contractors. it's actually quite a bit more. We do work in cement, and big boilers, and power, and process, and engines, big commercial boilers. We kind of, Dan and I have been doing this for a few decades now, where we kind of run the gamut of all different types of applications, and not just us, but the whole group. So right now, Seitron is currently present throughout US and the Americas. That's where we are here. We opened up this facility. We got the building back in late 2020. And then we actually opened up our US headquarters and operations on January of this year. So we've been here about 2.5 months, but we're not a new company by any stretch of the imagination. They have locations and service everywhere around the world: Europe, Asia, Oceania. We also have a facility in Brazil. So it's not just a small company, it's pretty much a worldwide company where we're exporting to over 60 odd countries throughout the world. We have about 90 employees worldwide, so it's a pretty big company. And one of the key factors for us, you have to have a good product, but service comes a long way. And even in 2020, with a lot of the COVID hitting everybody under the sun, we still were able to grow almost into double digits in that year. So we have products that are really, very user-friendly and very popular and unique. So it's a very good indication of the health of the company, but also what we bring and what we provide. So one of the other things, though, for Seitron, so everybody understands and why we're very unique, and when I get to some of the analyzers, I'm going to show you not only some unique features of the instrument that differentiate us from many of the products in the market, but also the reason being for that is about 20% of what we do goes back into R&D. There's an enormous priority here for quality and durability. And for those of you who've known me, and known our products for many, many years, I don't think we've ever had a customer that says, I don't like the product. So that comes with the quality of the actual instrument itself. And then you have to back it up with service, as we talked about. So that's just a little bit of history of the actual company itself. That's why I gave you my information. If anybody wants more info, please feel free to contact me at any time. So what I want to go through some of the different products and product lines that Seitron brings to the table. Some of these might look familiar to some of you in the market, which I will discuss later on, but I might as well let you know now that Seitron, as you can see, was the primary manufacturer of the e-instruments analyzers, where I worked for many years. We'll discuss that a little bit later, but that's one of the reasons why they wanted to go direct to market with Seitron Americas. But if some of you who have probably seen and sold these analyzers, that's why they look so familiar. But this right here showing on the screen are HVAC series of combustion, both for residential and commercial. One of the handouts that you'll see in the presentation, if you click to the right and see the handouts, is actually a one-page selection guide that show you for all the way from our 2-gas entry-level residential model in our S500, all the way up to our bigger commercial 4-gas model in the 4500. So it kind of gives you a one-page cheat sheet of the different variations, and some customers use that to present to contractors so they can kind of pick and choose which one fits better for them or their application or their needs, and it's kind of like a sales tool. Believe me, I've used it for many, many years. It's been extremely helpful, but kind of gives you a grand scope of what we call our HVAC series. So anywhere from 2 to 4 gases. Our most popular instrument, we're the only brand on the market who actually manufactures the model with the built-in printer. A lot of our units are very popular in the fact that we have 6 different tools in one. And one of the things that we do at our trainings that is so important, we teach the technician and the distributors that it's not just an analyzer. And unfortunately, many contractors think it's just an expensive analyzer, and it's not. It does a variety of different things, whether it's your CO and your oxygen, CO2, but also manometer, thermometer. We can do cracked heat exchangers on furnaces in less than 2 minutes, draft testing, and also as a certified carbon monoxide instructor, we teach on how to use these as an ambient CO monitor. So there's a lot of different things that these series of products do, and they all do them. It's just a matter of what features and bells and whistles that you like. We all have smartphone applications. They're all required instruments at this point for some high efficiency and condensing stuff, which I'll get into in a moment to show you what I'm talking about. But one of the other key factors is functionality, service, and all that. And they all have field replaceable sensors, every model from our small residential entry level all the way up, because we want to minimize downtime to our technicians in the field as much as possible. And then we'll talk about service later, but being able to have that makes our lives a little bit easier. So moving on, we're not just an HVAC combustion analyzer manufacturer. In fact, if some of you actually follow our LinkedIn and Facebook that I shared before, you'll see that we'll post things that we are industrial. That's actually where a lot of us came from in the first place, including myself. So kind of came from the industrial market. So we do have a full range of products for the industrial market that's open to you. What makes us unique versus companies like, for instance, a competitor of Testo, you're open to certain products, but not the whole range because they have their own distribution level. Whereas with Seitron, you're open to all of them. So if you have a customer that has an industrial application, which many of you do, you're open to actually providing them a solution for their application. And we run into a lot of different things, whether they're industrial boilers, power, process, you could see them there, cogeneration and cement and turbines, gas compression, enormous market for us. Industrial ovens, chemical, petrochemical, mining is another big one. And so many variations of sensors depending on the application, whether it's oxygen or CO, NOx, low NOx, SOx, ammonia. Some of the things that are new for us are things like hydrogen and ammonia. So, you know, that's a very, very unique product line that nobody else has. In fact, just this year, well, actually last year it was released, but we formally released it when we open up the Seitron Americas office. As you see that model to the right that has the black face, that's called our 9000 rack. We are one of the first companies in combustion analysis to go from anything from a residential entry-level 2 gas all the way up to our new continuous emissions monitor. That is almost unheard of. Most companies either deal with one or the other. We have kind of a full range for everything. Even things like heated lines and heated probes for EPA protocol testing, and it's anything from 1 up to 12 gases. So it's a very unique product line that you have the industrial and the HVAC series kind of in one portfolio. Portable instruments, we do have an array of pressure manometers, single and dual thermometers, but really our most popular units here are our combustible leak detectors. They pretty much are one of the few, as you can see on the screen, that actually give you a reading in both ppm and LEL, which is the lower explosive limit. So it's a very unique product line in the fact that it actually gives you a reading, and that's very big for a lot of our utilities who actually want to look at LEL. So we have 2 versions of the leak detector. One is our $78.99, and you guys, everybody will get information on these, or go to our website and be happy to see it. Our $78.99 model, which has disposable batteries, and then last year we released the 7900 series, which has rechargeable lithium-ion batteries. So thing pretty much ranges in functionality. It's just whether you want disposable or rechargeable. They detect any kind of combustible gases, propane, butane, methane, natural gas, whatever the case may be. They do that. And then I told you in the beginning how much investment goes into R&D. And right now we are on we're should be, hopefully by the end of this year and into next year, going to be launching a variety of new series and products. Things hopefully by the fall, maybe a new combustion analyzer, if not by the new year. New series for that. We are getting into refrigeration instrumentation, and obviously air quality monitors. And I say obviously because the market has changed, as anybody can imagine, over the last year. And we're definitely going to start getting more involved in there to broaden our horizon on portable testing instruments. So just beyond combustion and combustion analyzers and leak detectors or manometers, but a broader scope of products. So I mentioned to you in the beginning that one of the biggest markets for Seitron as a company worldwide are thermostats. That's kind of where they started. Thermostats and thermoregulation. That's kind of the bread and butter of the company since 1981. So it says coming soon there because we are going to start launching here in the Americas. We wanted to start first with the combustion analyzers because that's what everybody knows us for. They know the product, they know Dan and myself, they know the company that way. So that was kind of our first focus. But as we get into spring here, some of these products are already available. So it's not the fact that they're coming soon and being manufactured. It's that they're already done and ready to go to market. We're just releasing them in batches throughout the year, so it's not all at one time. So the thermostats, which have a wide range of thermostats, anything from Wi-Fi and wireless to fan coil, as you can see. And if you go to our website, you'll see some other products. But they're really they're focusing a lot more on its many conversations in the market, go now into newer IoT technology to make products smarter, where everything works to obviously a smartphone or tablet or anything like that. So thermostats are on the way to the market as soon as they're available with price guides and brochures, as we're actually finalizing them for the Americas. We should have them soon. Another one that's also done and completed, but will be coming soon as well, is the domestic or residential gas detectors for things for, kitchens, water heaters, utility rooms, maybe garages, that kind of thing, where there's a couple different versions. There's one that detects actual natural gas, other ones for propane, and then another one for carbon monoxide. And there'll be a couple versions, but the first version we're releasing is actually a plug-in version where it's continuously powered, being plugged in through a USA plug. Another version in the future will be the wired right into the wall. So just some things to see of what's coming probably within the next month or two that we'll be launching as soon as, because now for us, heating season's kind of over. So we're kind of coming to the end of that. So we're focusing on other products that we're going to be launching over the next few weeks and months as we kind of roll out of the heating season. One of the other ranges that is available now that we're just actually finalizing the catalog and brochure and should be on the website by next week is the industrial gas detector series. So unique in a way that they're obviously for commercial and industrial uses. Parking garages, industrial companies, utility companies, and the like. Uniquely, we're one of the few companies that the sensors on these particular gas detectors actually are field replaceable. So you don't have to buy new detectors. You could just go in there and swap a sensor, similarly to the way the combustion analyzers have. And right now, we're actually working, or Seitron is actually working on expanding this line to other gases, because I mentioned about things like air quality. So more into expanding into NOx and SOx, formaldehyde, ammonia. We have some areas of our part of the world, especially in South America, with huge requirements for like ammonia. So these are some other product lines. So I wanted to give you an idea of the different product lines that we have as a company and what's coming, what's available now, and but I really want to get back to the focus of who we are as a base for Seitron Americas, and that's our combustion analyzers. At least for this group. Obviously, there's a massive opportunity for some of the other products, but I just want to get back to what everybody's here to talk about today. So as you can see, just a quick little write-up. I mean, I talked a little bit about the 6 tools in one. You have your analyzer, draft meter, ambient CO. You have a built-in pressure manometer, which uniquely now, most of the products, we include the differential pressure kit, which was never done. We never did that before, which we're doing now. So anybody who buys an analyzer gets the kit with that already. A thermometer and a cracked heat exchanger test. And we really, at every training class and every discussion that we have with our technicians, whether they call in for service, or we're in front of a big class, we always talk about these 6 tools because we want them to know and understand that it's more than just an analyzer. So they're very rugged. I told you one of the things that we focus on is quality. The reason we do that is because we know, as anybody here knows, our technicians in the field are not the most delicate creatures to ever walk God's green earth. So that's the truth. I've been doing this a long time myself. I've met very few guys who actually take care of every little thing, and the instruments come in beautifully clean when they come in for service. So in order for technicians to really like it, and word of mouth spreads very, very, very much, good or bad, when you have something unique. And guys tend to very much like our products because they are really well built and can withstand some beatings. And it's not just the instrument itself, whether we use strong magnets or metal connections and all that kind of stuff, but it's also, you know, the design of the probe, the design of the water trap. It's everything. But we also spend a lot of time teaching these guys on how to take care of it. That's another part of our training. But why are analyzers so important, and why are we pushing them so much is mainly because nowadays, especially with more and more manufacturers on the boiler and the furnace side are requiring them. So you could see in, for instance, this is a boiler manufacturer's manual, and you can see clearly that they're starting to put these, and have been for some time now, put these into the actual manuals themselves, which means that it's not really a suggestion, it's they want it. And we've had some manufacturers now that are pushing the fact that if you do not have an analyzer or set it up properly or commission the boiler properly, especially at startup, that they're moving away from actually honoring warranties for certain equipment because they're not set up properly. So it's really, really been moving that way. We've seen the growth. I mean, I've been doing combustion analyzers for 2 decades, and when I first started, there wasn't much of a push, but over the last 5 to 10 years, it's been incredible. And that's mainly because the manufacturers are pushing them too. In fact, as anybody probably here knows, if you've ever called tech support on you know, a boiler or a furnace, the first thing they're going to ask you is what's your gas pressure, what's your O2, what's your CO2. They're going to ask you where your analyzer is. So it's very hard for them to detail things, especially on sealed combustion and high efficiency equipment. So the analyzers are becoming a much more popular required tool instead of just an expensive luxury that only some guys have. And other reasons, this is just, you know, I blurred out who the company is, but this actually is why this occurs. We had a recall on a particular boiler, and this is last year, you know, that for carbon monoxide hazards. You wouldn't be able to tell, you can't see, smell, or taste CO, so having an analyzer is extremely important to see those kind of concerns or issues that you can't determine by eye. I tell a lot of my guys during classes, I don't care if the flame is blue, that doesn't mean anything in combustion. So it's just little things like that of why an analyzer is important. So let's move on to some of the models and series of what we offer here at Seitron. I mentioned to you the residential entry-level S500 series. Pretty much a great, unique tool for, you know, a very economical kind of starter kit. We never take anything out of an instrument where my entire series, if it focuses around combustion, they all do it. Whereas some other manufacturers, the cheaper you go, the more features they take out. Things like pressure, draft, they remove. We don't do that. I want every guy who buys either an S4500 or a top-end S4500 to be able to do every test in combustion, whether it's measuring oxygen, measuring CO2, efficiency, draft, pressure, all of it. So all of our units do that, but there's a range. You'll see the model in the middle there called the S1500P. That is the one that has the built-in printer. Some of you know that product already from my old days, but we are the true manufacturer of the series, as you see. It is that built-in printer is the key selling feature of that particular instrument. There's not another manufacturer on the market, except for one that we used to make them for, that have this capability or have this feature. And it's been, you know, our biggest selling point because technicians love having that printer built in. They love not having to have a separate printer that they lose or break, that they got to line up. It needs batteries. It's infrared. It's a enormous selling function for that particular model. And why? One of the reasons that, if you go to your handouts, I also provide the brochure only on this particular model, because obviously I'll send you the brochure on any model you want, and you can find them online. But this is our most popular. So I wanted everybody to have the brochure for this particular unit. What we did a couple years ago was the 1500 has some features, obviously, that the 500 does not. Things like automatic CO dilution, which protects the technician from overranging the sensor. It's got a stronger pump for faster response time. It's obviously got the built-in printer. It's got a bigger color display. It also has some other smaller things that we'll get into, you know, at another time. But some of our technicians were moving away from actually using a printer, and they wanted to use the app or software or just save the data and kind of go more paperless, but they wanted all the bells and whistles of the 1500. So that's where that NP version, and by the way, we're genius. NP, no printer. P, printer. Very ingenious, I know. But the reason we created that NP version is for some of our technicians who would rather use the app and not the printout, which the apps for your tablet or for your mobile device can email reports, and I'll show you what they look like. Email reports, save data, and the like, but it kind of gives you all the bells and whistles. Then you get into our 4500, which is our bigger commercial model, NOx, SOx, hydrocarbons. This is where you start getting into more of the commercial boilers. We sold quite a few of these in the past through the CGNA guys who have some bigger commercial, you know, customers who need to do NOx, especially, you know, all over the world now. It's starting to become more of a requirement because of emissions testing. So that's why we have those particular model. But again, and then we go up from there. We have 6 gassers and 9 gassers, which I showed you before in our industrial line that you're open to selling. But this is the bread and butter of the Seitron Americas HVAC combustion analyzer line. Many of you know these, some of you, this is new. And one of the things that, and some of you who have asked me already for them, and I will happily provide any type of competition comparison. So if you're used to selling a particular competitor in this model, you tell me what it is, or myself or Dan, and we will get you the competition comparison to our model and what benefits and bells and whistles and features it has that the competition doesn't. This is something that we take very seriously to make sure that we differentiate from our competition. This is that selection guide that you'll find in your handouts as well that I mentioned before, just to kind of give you a short overview of what's included with each individual model. You know, I'm not going to get into each one, but just wanted to kind of show you what it looks like so you could download that through your handouts. So what makes that 1500P our best-selling features? I wanted to make some really quick bullet points, some selling points, so everybody understands why this is a different model, why it's a differentiation, why is this particular unit the most popular through all of CGNA. One, we've already discussed the built-in printer. Number 2, the CO over range protection. Might not seem much to us or distributors, but to a technician, the first question I ask sometimes is, hey, have you ever burned out or overranged your CO sensor? All the time. If they haven't, they're lying to you. So this gives them the capability of protection. It actually shuts the pump off from them and kind of protects them from themselves. One other new feature is the new 4-year long life oxygen sensor. The instruments come with a 2-year warranty on the instrument and the CO sensor and the other sensors, but oxygen, we give a 4-year long life sensor, whereas we always in the past, in my old days at E Instruments, it was always 2 years. Now we have 4. Every part, sensors, pumps, batteries, because they do have lithium-ion rechargeable batteries on this, so my technicians don't have to worry about having dead batteries at a job site when they need it at the boiler. So they could just plug this in if it's completely dead and run right off AC power. But everything on this instrument has field replaceable sensors and parts. Minimize downtime as much as we can. Also, now we get into some of the apps that we talked about. You can kind of see a little screenshot of the app. I'll get into, there's another screen down the road that shows you the some of the other screenshots, but they're almost remote control apps. You can use a Bluetooth or QR code. You have the option, but it allows the guys to actually start and stop the pump, to print right from the actual app itself. So especially on commercial jobs, if I have to be 20 or 30 or 40 feet away, this comes in very, very handy, because now I don't need to spend $500 on extension probes or extension hoses. We can use a remote control app for the most part. Uniquely, it has altitude adjustment. I told you where we are. We're about an hour and a half, I want to say, northwest of Venice, pretty much almost in the Alps in Italy. So they understand altitude, and we understand when we teach combustion how oxygen changes in altitude. So we're a unique factor that most analyzers don't have, and all of our units do this, but big unique selling feature. is altitude adjustment. For some of you, it might not mean anything, but for those of you in some elevation, it means a lot. So 8 parameters right on the screen, very easy to operate. Every instrument comes with 1-page cheat sheet because really it's that simple to use. We don't even include the manuals anymore. You could download them from our website if you want them, but most 99% of the technicians, they just use the cheat sheet that comes with it. And you have a zoom function on there to make it easier to operate, but there's no more going from screen to screen. All your tests are right there on your main screen. And then you have wireless Bluetooth, which goes hand in hand with the app as well. So just to show you kind of the printout, it's customizable. All of our instruments can do this, but because the 1500 is our most popular, you can see that you can customize the printout. You have a spot for a customer signature, time, date, and stamp. You can remote print using the app if you need to, like I said. So if you're quite a few feet away, you can use the app to just print right from the instrument. This is a huge component because what a lot of customers, and we teach this also in our classes, is that we don't just like selling calibration and service because we like to have the instruments back once a year. And usually whenever we sell an analyzer, sometimes technicians ask, how often do they have to be calibrated? Well, it doesn't matter. You pick any make, brand, or model you want. We recommend an annual calibration because we certify the instrument so that when the technician takes a test, usually if you get into any trouble, the first question that gets asked is, when was the last time that unit was calibrated? Do you have documentation? And that's the documentation, that printout. So that's why we have a spot for the signature, and you can kind of customize it, but that's where that liability concern comes into play. So having the built-in printer, it's always capable. It runs on lithium-ion batteries. It's right built into the unit. You don't lose it or break it. So it's quite unique. Very easy to change the paper roll. So hugely unique feature, as you probably can all tell already. The NP version, it's exactly the same as the model I just showed you, minus the printer. That's all there is. It's a paperless version of the 1500p. The entry-level series, our S500 series. This particular unit, obviously you can see it's a small handheld device. I call it my pocket analyzer. Looks big on the screen, but it literally fits right in my jeans pocket. It's pretty small, but has a lot of capabilities. One of the factors there, you can see 6 parameters right there on the screen. This unit competes a lot with the Testo 310, and with the 310, you have to really scroll up and down a lot because it only has 2 parameters at one time, whereas this one, pretty much all 6 major ones are right on the screen, which makes it very more user-friendly to the technician. We don't have the Bluetooth app on this particular version. That's one differentiation between the 1500 series and this one. We do have a QR code app, which you could see right there. If you hit print on this unit, you could print to a separate Bluetooth printer. We don't do infrared. Again, another differentiating factor. We use a Bluetooth printer. But if you wanted to use the app, you scan, once you hit print, it's not only will it print to a printer if you have one, but if you do not, it'll actually create a QR code right on the screen. You scan it with our free app, and it'll show you the readings right there, and then you can save it, email it, name the customer, name the boiler, whatever you're doing. The 4500 series, these are just some, you can see some bigger boilers, and I have a little video here of one of our mechanical contractors in Texas there using it on a pretty big engine. I know it's still probably not showing up really well here, but if anybody wants a video, I have plenty of them. But kind of just showing you some of the bigger industrial processes that some of our mechanical contractors actually do get into. And these are the types of things that they're going to measure, because in situations like these, they are testing for NOx and SOx and different variations. So just to show you the series, all of our gas sensors and ranges, field replaceable, 4-year O2 sensor. You can actually field calibrate them if you want to, if you have your own cal gas as well. One other nice feature for our customers is that all of our units come with a cheat sheet. I told you the 1-page cheat sheet for using the analyzer. The other page, they only get 2 pages, are things like this, where it teaches them or shows them on a variety of different instruments, variety of different equipment where to test. These are only just two to show you, but also gives them some ranges depending on the equipment as well. So it's pretty self-explanatory and very easy to operate. Show you some of our software programs that come with the analyzers. These are real-time data logging and graphical software. So especially on our more commercial applications, this is extremely useful and a popular tool and usually needed to do EPA testing and reporting. This is the app I was telling you about. I told you I'd give you a little bit of a bigger screenshot so you can kind of see when you pull the app up. It says Start Analysis. You click Start Analysis. It brings up the readings. And then right at the bottom, you'll see Start and Stop Pump. If you wanted to start and stop the pump from the app itself, save a report, and you can see on the right-hand side some different testing that we did, and then you could print right from your app. It'll print on the analyzer, or you can email it there and email it to anybody. And you'll see the app. It's called the Seitron Smart Analysis mobile app. You'll have it on the Android and the iOS. Again, another unique feature. One of the few companies that have both QR code and Bluetooth real-time app for both iOS and Android, and already up and running. Some of our leak detectors I mentioned to you before. I'm not going to dive more into this because I want to get to two other things that are very important, but just to kind of show you what they are. They're field replaceable sensors. They have an actual reading on the screen. Just do you want disposable or rechargeable batteries? Here's where Seitron Americas excels. This is our main focus, service. Since we've been up, we've been averaging about 24 to 48 hours at the moment. We're at 350 odd repairs since the beginning of January. And some of you on this call have already dealt with us on the service end and could actually speak to that. But when I left my previous company, I wanted to get back to the focus at hand of how we succeed, and that's service, and always will be. Having a nice analyzer is one thing. Not having the service to back it up is a completely different thing. We don't have an answering service here. We have a telephone number on the back of every instrument. If our technicians are in the field, they call us. If it goes to my office, it goes right to my cell phone. So we're pretty much available all the time. We have a very nice, beautiful calibration facility here. We're one of the few companies who do service contracts. This is an enormous selling feature to especially some of our bigger fleet customers. When they want 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 analyzers, one of the things that we offer are service contracts where they can buy a one-time annual contract and be done with it for the year. And they love that. Just yesterday, we had a big customer here locally who sent us a PO for the service contracts for all 28 of his analyzers. And he knows that they're going to cover pump, batteries, sensors, calibration, cleanings. We disinfect, we vacuum the vacuum the carrying case. You get it back as clean as we can possibly do it, but you also get the certification. So this is a hugely popular thing for us, and one of the things that we want to put in place immediately. It was one of the first things we did was get back to what we do well, and that's the service. Training is the second one. Training is, we do online and in-person training. I focus very heavily on training. I've been a trainer for Combustion for close to 20 years. I love doing the in-person. I know it's very hard because even right now, I would love to see all your faces, but I cannot. So this is the best we can do. But it is a powerful tool, and so we have to use it for now. But many of you who've known me in the past, I've been, I go out, we do training classes. They're NATE certified, so they get 2-hour credits for coming to a class. We go over what is combustion, how to use an analyzer, what do the readings mean, what's the safety levels of carbon monoxide. And we can do this. This is the key factor here for my CGNA members. I can do it with your staff. I can do it with you. Or, and I've done this already with some members that just say, hey, Jay, my customer bought 5 or 10 or whatever instruments. Can you set up a personal class for him and his tech? Absolutely. We do it all the time. One of our factors of bringing in Seitron Americas is that service, training, use us. We're here. I like talking to people, as you could probably imagine. So use us. Tell us we want to set up a class for our customers. No problem. We do it all the time. And then our product technical support. pretty much like I said, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. There's always somebody here. We don't use an answering service. So what are some advantages? In-person and virtual analyzer training, extremely lower downtime than probably any other manufacturer competitor you have, bar none. Field replaceable sensors to even further eliminate that downtime. Some manufacturers, especially on the lower end, do not have that capability. They kind of went away from some of those things, like the 310, for instance. Very unique features, the built-in printer, the apps, training your customers. We'll do it. We just did one recently for Chris Daly at RHI to 2 different of his customers. We set it up at 7:30 in the morning, and we were here, and we did a training for all their techs online. So please use it. And that comes to the product and application knowledge is pretty unparalleled. Dan and I both have been doing this for many, many, many years, and we're passionate about what we do. We understand what we do, and we don't hide away from the customers. We put the telephone number on the analyzers. I give every time we ship an instrument back from service, one of us is putting our business cards in the case so they have somewhere to call for tech support. We want them to come to you for tech support, but we want to be your backup, and we want to be your source for information. And on that, we'll take some questions. And I'm going to turn my camera back on for questions. So just.
Okay. Great job, Jason. A lot of good information. Listen, we've got about 12 minutes left here, and we're going to try to use this time for Q&A. Jason, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'd like to kick it off with a question that I'm guessing that there will be some distributors who are interested in this as well. So let's talk about it. Can you explain the relationship between Seitron, Sauermann, and E-Instruments, and also how the Seitron products differentiate from Sauermann? Can you do that one?
Yeah, of course. I knew this question would come up for a variety of obvious reasons. So, as I mentioned to you, I was the HVAC product manager with E-Instruments for 16 years, and then moved up to the national product manager. And then when Sauermann purchased E-Instruments, I was made vice president of sales. So the relationship there is that when I started, when I was just a young product manager, E-Instruments at the time had partnered with Seitron, and what we would do is E-Instruments made some very unique products. We would private label them and send them to Seitron, and Seitron would take care of Europe and Asia under the Seitron brand. And in return, Seitron actually manufactured all the leak detectors and the combustion analyzers and all the emissions analyzers, and they would private label them under E-Instruments and send them to us, and we would take care of North and South America. 2 family-owned companies. It worked really well. Like I said, I was there for 16 of my 18 years with E-Instruments, and then in 2018, Sauermann actually purchased the E-Instruments, and it was just a different path. And what Seitron wanted to do was to actually go to the market directly as Seitron. It was their time, and they made a different, they wanted to go to market differently, and kind of end the relationship with Sauermann. And so at the end of 2020, they were no longer supplying Sauermann with any more analyzers because they were starting to open up Seitron Americas. And Dan, myself, our service manager, and most of our staff we're all from E-Instruments. We've all worked at E-Instruments for many, many years, all kind of went our different ways with when Sauermann took over. And now we kind of, for all intents and purposes, put the band back together to start and launch Seitron Americas. And it wasn't easy. It was a very difficult decision for many of our team, especially myself, being there so long. And but it was the right decision because we wanted to get back to what we thought wasn't the focus anymore, which was the service part of it. And so did Seitron, and why they made this decision, and came to us and said, the product, the customers, and we don't have this relationship anymore. So we need to get out into the market under the Seitron brand. And it's an easier transition because most of our customers, especially our CGNA members, who I've been dealing with for some of them I've been dealing with for most of my career. I think I mentioned to you, some of them were some of my first customers that I ever had to call on and beat me up pretty good. So I know this group very well. And it was an easy transition for me to make, not personally, but professionally, because we know the products. They're the same products. So if my distributors know the E-Instruments 1500, it's the Seitron 1500. If you were to open up any of the models in the market, you would see it. So that was kind of the story behind the relationship. And, you know, Seitron wanted to go a different path, and Sauerman made their own decision in going into their own path. So here we are.
Okay, so just in a nutshell, so Sauerman is now developing and planning to produce their own products, but the E-Instrument brand that's always been called E-Instrument brands, that is manufactured, owned, and sold by Seitron.
Yes, that is 100% correct. And the other thing is too is because they're ours, we service all of them.
Got it.
So if a lot of our distributors have customers in the field already with an E-Instruments model, that's what we've been doing. I told you we had 350 odd repairs. They haven't been because we sold 350 so far this year. It's the fact that it's all of our E-Instruments, prior E-Instruments customers and distributors sending in equipment here for service, and we're updating them to Citronize them, let's say, because they're ours, new features, and we add the new firmwares and the software and certify them and relabel them because they are ours.
Okay, good. Do you have any other questions that show up on your screen right now? By the way, to those of you on the call, if you want to type in a question, now is the opportunity to get in front of Jason and Dan. There's Dan. Are you seeing anything, Jason or Dan? You guys see any questions?
I do see one. One came through, looks like from Morgan. The question is, do your products come with a hard case? The answer to that is yes. All of our products, whether it's the lower end, more economical S500, all the way up to our commercial industrial products, they do come standard with a hard plastic carrying case.
Okay. Any other questions?
That's the only question that I see thus far typed out to me.
Okay. Marshall, are you seeing any questions coming down your pipeline?
Yeah. So, yeah, Dan, there's one more question from Chris Myers. If you can expand the questions box, you should go.
Okay. Yep, I got it. Okay. How do we as distributors get listed on your websites?
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, so that's something we're working on right now as a sort of distributor section. But Jay, we should have that up probably here in the next few weeks. Basically listing the CGNA members as distributors for our instruments.
That's a great question there, Chris, because as I mentioned to you earlier, if you go to our website, we prominently show the CGNA logo because we want our customers to primarily go to CGNA distributors. That's why we put the logo on our website. Our next phase, which actually Dan and I have a meeting with our IT guy at 4:30 today Eastern time to discuss some changes to the website. And one of them, if you were in my office, you would see a big note that says distributor map. So we are going to put a distributor map with our local sales reps and any distributors. But the first listed distributor in every state will be primarily the CGNA member. I hope that answers the question.
Okay.
And I do see one more from Dave Morgan. And he's saying, what about the non-combustible analyzers? My assumption is that was a follow-up to the question on the hard carrying case. So the combustible gas leak detectors, they don't include a hard plastic carrying case. They come with a sort of soft vinyl carrying case. And then the other products, such as the thermostats, the toxic gas detectors, the residential detectors, those are sort of wall mounted, so there is less of a need really for a carrying case for those products in particular. I believe that's what you were asking, Dave, but if you can clarify if I did not answer that properly.
Okay.
And then we have another question here from Chris Myers. I'm sorry, it's a little difficult to read this. let's see here. How do we get more info on annual repair contract for companies with multiple units? That was from Chris Myers. So Chris, we can send you that information directly. We do have a write-up which provides information on the specific services that are offered for the service contracts, and we have different tiers for the service contracts as well, which vary by obviously cost and then you know, what exactly you're getting with each service contract. But that is something that we can send to you directly. You do have our information in the presentation, so if you send either Jason or I an email directly, we can get that out to you.
Okay. Good job.
I just want to take this time, if there's no other questions, to really thank everybody who attended, and it means quite a bit to me, both professionally and personally, to be a part of the group. So if we could be of any use to you at all, that's why I gave you our contact information, to please let us know at any point, and we'd be happy to help in any way we can.
All right. Very good. Very good. Well, let's just take one last quick check. Dan, do you have any last questions that are showing up?
Nope. It looks like those are the last ones that we got here.
All right. Well, listen, I want to say thank you to you guys. This is an outstanding presentation, ton of information. We are very pleased to have Seitron on board as well, and we know e-instruments are important to a lot of the members. This is great, and we want to ramp it up. So thank you. I want to say thank you to Harshal. He's our IT director out of the corporate office at CGNA in Southern California. And Jason and Dan, thank you. And to all of the CGNA members, we appreciate your time this afternoon. So thank you for joining us. Dan, Jason, good to have you in CGNA, gentlemen.
We're
Thanks,
happy
everybody.
to be here, so thank you.
Good deal. Take care, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you all.